I do feel that an injustice has been done to Brock Turner. I think what Judge Persky did was absolutely appropriate. The judge imposed a sentence by following the recommendation made by the probation officer. The judge followed the recommendation of a moderate sentence and imposed a 6-month jail sentence. He also did a lot more. He imposed a fine, he required Brock Turner to undergo anger management classes, and he required Brock Turner to register as a sex offender for the rest of his life. This young man wears a scarlet letter for the rest of his life. That's anything but lenient. I believe the sentence was absolutely appropriate. I would absolutely have done the same thing if I had presided over that case. Judge Persky has been on the bench for 14 years, and not once has he ever been found to have engaged in bias or misconduct. Please vote no on the recall of Judge Persky. I opposed the recall because I believe Judge Aaron Persky was unfairly targeted, and secondly, because this recall was a real threat to the independence of the judiciary. Why have we lost this whole concern that we should have as a society for redemption? I've heard people say that those who have been convicted of murder, who go to prison, get out, they have a right now to redeem themselves. But I haven't heard that for Brock Turner.
Well, please welcome retired Superior Court Judge Cordell and former District Attorney Michael Kraut, who believes that the Brock Turner sentencing was an outrage. Now, joining us live from Boston via satellite is former prosecutor and law lecturer Wendy Murphy. So Wendy, thank you as well. Guys, thanks for being here. Why do you say this was a reasonable sentence and penalty for this young man?
I say it's reasonable because judges have to take into consideration a number of factors. That is the victim, the defendant, the circumstances of the crime. I believe that the sentence he imposed was absolutely appropriate, and he isn't the only one. In California, when you're convicted of a felony, the probation department is required to prepare a report to look at the entire offense and to recommend a sentence.
But it is just a recommendation.
Absolutely.
The decision is with the judge.
You're right. This was a probation recommendation for a moderate jail sentence, which the judge chose to follow. And I think it was appropriate.
Well, here was the sentence. He was convicted of assault with intent to rape an intoxicated woman, sexually penetrating an intoxicated woman with a foreign object, sexually penetrating an unconscious person. And the sentence was 6 months in county jail, 3 years probation, lifetime on the sex offender registry, mandatory sex offender rehabilitation. Now, he could have gotten 3, 6, or 8 years under the law, correct, Michael?
That's correct.
Why not? Why not give him more than 6 months in jail, which is going to be with good time 3 months, so in 12 weeks, he's out?
What we have here is a case in which he left her unconscious after sexually assaulting her, and the only reason this individual is being treated differently is because he's white and he's from Stanford. There's no other clear-cut reason.
See, that's just not true, and that's not based on fact.
Wendy, respond to this, if you will. He got certainly a moderate or light sentence compared to what is available under the law, but yet he was assigned a third-degree category on the sex offender registry, which is severe.
It's an important observation. You cannot have it both ways. This was either a severe crime, which is why he's a level 3, or it was equivalent of shoplifting, which is why he got 3 months. When you are the judge, you uphold the Constitution first. You do equal justice under the law. You make sure the punishment fits the crime. He didn't do any of those things in this case. When you rape and brutalize in a sexual way a completely defenseless, unconscious woman, when you give that guy a slap on the wrist, you have declared yourself unfit to serve on the bench.